Okay.
Ticks, ticks.
29th of April, CVR's first meeting. Welcome. I think the plan is we'll probably look at maybe holding these monthly. I don't know. We'll see.
It's not a bad idea. So, okay. First thing on that agenda then is, with these meetings that we're going to hold monthly that you're on about now, is are we going to have an agenda to them, a consistent agenda?
Yeah.
So, shall we make a note of the list of items that are part of the agenda?
I've already done so.
So,
Because
can
I
you,
am.
instead of keeping them to your fucking self, then you selfish prick, how about sharing it so we all know?
Well, that's where I'm just going to go. So,
Fucking hell, man.
the first agenda is Series 2.
Priorities.
So-
Series. Yeah, but you're not going to, you know, when Series 2 is
don't worry.
finished, you're not going to carry on talking about Season 2 in the meetings, are you?
Just wait. I've got loads of headings for Series 2. Right, so first agenda, tracks. So, what are we thinking about the 8 tracks per series? Do we need more? Do we need less? What do we think?
I think 8 tracks and 1 drop race is about right.
Yeah. I think we shouldn't do 2 drop races. I think we
Yeah.
should do 1.
Well, that's actually that was the last point that I'd got in this agenda. But yeah, go on.
Can I make 1 point?
Mm.
Only 1, and then you got to shut up for the rest of the night.
Oh, thanks.
That'd be bliss.
I personally think you should fuck the drop round off. Reason being, and I know some people can't make rounds. Yeah, that's fair enough. But it's also an incentive for people not to fucking turn up because they know they can drop around just for the sake of not
that
turning
is
up.
true in a way.
Yeah, I get that.
I think when you look at how many of us actually have been on all the races, there's like 4 or 5.
Yeah. And you create a channel in Discord, or you make it in a rule that people have to get in touch with you to tell you they're not turning up. Otherwise, it goes down as a
lot of
against
our main guys do that.
Yeah.
Well, if it helps, what you can do, which I've seen before, is just like with that, instead of, you can do an attendance deal to where when the week of that race, those who select their attendance, if they're going to be there, they select it, they're there. If they don't show up, they receive either a point deduction or whatever, and if it's a consistent thing, then they receive a 1 race ban.
Yeah, that's the way that SimGrid does it. I'm happy with that. So we'll keep it at 8 tracks then, yeah? Is that what we're thinking? And then 1 drop race?
Before you finalise that, with Season 2, how are you running the format? Are you keeping it a consistent format over all 8 rounds, or are you doing like an endurance in between, or fucking double points last round?
You're ruining my fucking agenda.
No, it is still part of that agenda because
you're ruining my agenda.
Your agenda sucks dick. That's what your agenda does.
Right, on to the second point, Matthew.
Which is also part of
Don't fucking Matthew me, Ashley.
So,
you fucking witch.
How do we want to do the races? I've got 3 points for this, which a few members who have not been able to make it to this and have excused themselves have given me some points. So we've got 3 options here. First off is 2 30-minute races. The second race is a reverse grid. The second point is a 1-hour race with a pit stop. And then the third one is the 45-minute races, as we are.
Right. I'll hit you straight in the fucking nose with this. 45-minute races, they were good for Season 1 because it was like a
taster.
Yeah. I don't think it's a good idea to go forward to the 45 minutes because it's neither here or there.
Yeah, it needs to be an hour or to do this.
And
a sprint race series, one or the other.
On about I would agree to 1 hour race, but I would do pit stop only if you want to. So I wouldn't enforce a pit stop on it.
I
Especially
disagree with
the new
that.
tire changes.
I think a pit stop is a good way of bringing tactics into a race.
Yeah, a pit stop gives people more flexibility when it comes to the race itself. If you've got an hour race and you're constantly stuck behind you, you've got no way of strategically getting past them. Because if you're stuck behind, say, last patch, stuck behind a Honda down the straight, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You know, and if you've got more pace,
But don't you think that with the new tire changes, tires would really fall off after, let's say, 45 minutes? So someone driving potentially with no tire changes, they would
yeah, but the amount of
hurt a lot
time
at the back.
the amount of time you'd lose in a pit stop, you're not going to lose that out on track on tyres that are costing you 3 seconds a lap.
So
yeah, potentially.
I think we're agreed there then that we're going to be looking at 8 tracks, 1 hour, 1 pit stop. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I don't know. You've also mentioned the 2 30-minute races.
If we
Yeah.
do,
You know
if
what? You did mention the first
Hang on.
2 races.
Go on, Nick.
Yeah.
Go on, Nick.
if we do pit stop mandatory, I would have a wish for a wider pit window, because let's say you have a terrible accident lap 1.
Yeah.
And you could do your pit stop there, but it forces you to do another pit stop like halfway through.
Agreed.
Yeah, completely
that
open
will
pit
be a
window.
fuck up.
Yeah, pit window open pretty much as soon as the race starts. I think I'd be in agreement with that, because it then
The only thing you do there is you open the pit window a minute into the race. That way, people can't pit before the race has started.
Yeah. Starts some splashing and dashing, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I personally think that the 2 30-minute races is better, because the first race is based on the qualifying, but the second race makes those at the back who were at the front in the first race have to work for their points.
I mean,
I would
love
like
the
a
idea of-
reverse grid, but as you mentioned, I think before, double 30-minute races, and not many people were fans of them.
Yeah. So we'll keep it as maybe look at doing a poll on that then, because there's a point that I'm going to come to next. Let me just tick that one off. So the point that I want to come to next is the splits. So this has caused a bit of headache between the admins and a bit of disagreement.
I think it's a 50-50 divide, to be honest.
Yeah. Todd, I spoke to Todd today because he's not able to make it. The way that we're looking at doing it is trying to bring a bit of balance into the races themselves. And the balance is not working. It worked when we'd got sub 15 people that were of various different abilities, but we seem to be getting a clear cut of drivers now. And what I mean by that is we've got your top tier lads that are fast, and then we've got your mid pack and rookies. Personally, I think we should do pro-am and amateur. However, I understand that there's going to be the people of not enough for the free splits. So the other admins have put forward a counter argument, as has Todd as well. He's done a vote on it for pro and pro-am. Now this is where it gets interesting now, because you raised the point, Eric, about sandbagging. And I think what you meant by that is the way that we were going to do it is through a licensing. So the fastest lads would set a rough time, and then like your pro-am side of it would set a time, and those that would then come in, you would have 8 laps to see which way you go. I'd hope that most people would. Yeah, I'd hope that most people would be fair in that, because you're only cheating yourself, really, if you're just going to sit in a pro-am class and you're quite clearly faster.
Right, well, you think about that, right? On your server settings, you can check everyone's lap times in the race, can't you?
Yeah.
100%. So if anyone pulls the wool over the eyes and suddenly starts setting laps a second to 2 seconds a lap faster in the actual race, then you pull them up on it.
There's another issue with that. So you would do that before the start of the championship. What
Yes.
about all the people that join second race, third race, fourth race in the
They'd still have to
championship?
do it.
How do you qualify them?
Because
So
it's going to be set on SimGrid with the splits, so you would have to put yourself into it anyway. Which I get, some people would put themselves into Pro or Pro-Am regardless, but I can then look at who's applied and see which leagues they are signing up for. And obviously, if they're in the ERO leagues and they're finishing in top 10, then they've signed up for Pro-Am. It's not going to happen because I'll just counteract it.
Well, what you could also
Okay.
do is where, like, if you're in 3-4 halfway through the championship and new members join, have them already just start in the Pro-Am to where if you already see during those races they're setting, higher than normal or whatever, just promote them forward for the next beginnings to where you're keeping track of who's,
Do you want me to throw a wild suggestion out there?
Go on.
On Wednesdays, I have a day off. I could host.
That day off being a cunt or just a day off in general?
I don't think he knows that's a day from being a cunt.
The day someone shoots you is the day that I go and pay them my life savings. No, what I'm saying is I have Wednesdays off, so we could arrange for newcomers in the previous week to do an evaluation race that I host.
Yeah.
Any one of the current members can join in, so we can see where they're at.
My other alternative, my thinking was we could have the Pro and the Pro-Am, but have a certain time that some of the guys who aren't as quick, we can have, like they do in the British Touring Cars, a Jack Sears Trophy, a rookies type championship, which is a separate event type of thing. If they don't hit the 107% of being a Pro or a Pro-Am, we could do. They're still in the race. We're not making a separate category, but for some of the slower guys who aren't able to sort of keep onto the back of the pack during the main race, someone like, I don't think he's part of the group anymore, so I don't mind name dropping, but someone like Anthony Ferrante, who just couldn't quite get the pace of everyone else, there could be that Jack Sears Trophy type thing.
Yeah.
If you were set on doing your 3-tier, that's all.
So I don't know. I'll put it out to the meeting then. What do we think? 2 tiers or 3 tiers?
2.
Yeah, 2.
yeah, I'd go with 2.
3 is too much because the lack of consistent.
Well, that's my point. That was all the time about this is how many are you going to have actually in Pro right now from the group of drivers that we have now?
I personally, my opinion is I don't want any splits. But
I that's my opinion. I don't want splits, but you actually were not given that option.
If
No, it is there as an option.
Yeah.
I mean, if people
Well,
don't want
no,
splits,
that's not what you said. You just said 2 splits or 3 splits, but you're not given an option of no splits.
If you're not going to run,
hello, firing
physically,
squad.
3
Yes,
physical
available
or
now.
2 physical splits, i.e. servers, then you need to differentiate between who's running as Pro and Pro-Am via their colour on their doors for the numbers.
Well, yeah, that can be set via the server and SimGrid anyway. The only reason that I thought about the splits, Eric, is because it's no fun just continually sitting at the back. And the way that I broached it with Todd today is you could be fighting through the grid as a Pro-Am and then say, I don't know, Matt, Tedder and Todd are coming past you. Regardless if they come past you, you can let them pass because it doesn't cause you an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Also, if you're going to run them in the same race, it's probably better off to segment the qualifying so that they can run
That's my next point.
at their own, in their own group.
For clarification, how do we do the split? Like by MMR ratings or by lap times or?
Well, the way that we were going to do it is via lap times.
But that could vary big from track to track. I mean, Hungaroring, I would say I personally am a faster driver, than on
Yeah.
say Spa, for example. On Spa, I'm shit.
Yeah, and
we,
that
we
that
can do
was
it over two
what I wanted to
tracks.
say as well.
I don't know. It's just a suggestion. I just think that
I think what's gonna happen is we're gonna have. I think it would work if we had 30 press drivers every race, but
yeah.
consistent, like drivers that show up every week. But we don't. At the moment, you have basically you're gonna have 2 or 3 drivers in pro. Everyone else will be in pro am.
Not necessarily, because
Realistically.
we can look at the grid finish if needs be.
We see. I mean,
Yeah, but
So-
then you're penalizing someone who's basically 3 seconds slower than Matt and Todd. You're putting them into pro, and they will be at the back of pro. They have no chance of winning.
But that would be the same if we didn't have splits, wouldn't it?
we see. You
That's
know,
what I'm trying to get at.
if I'm thinking from my point of view, who's someone who can occasionally get a podium if one of the others has a fuck up, if I was in the pros, okay, well, I'm not necessarily against that, but someone who's maybe, half a second or so behind me, well, they're going to struggle even more, So I can see where Eric's coming
Well,
from. Absolutely, I can.
If you look at the championship now, you have 3 drivers on top that are doing, for example, even Spa. Like when you look at the testing, they're doing 217s, right? Then you have someone like Michael, like Paul, or probably a few drivers that will be in 219s, and then pretty much everyone else is 20, 21, 22. So realistically, you have like how do you split that?
It's hard to hit a moving target because that's what it'll be. Because everyone has to test and everything else. I can see where it's coming from because it's hard to to judge who is going to be classed as a pro and what is the cutoff time.
I think maybe in the beginning is something to keep an eye on, to where, like Eric said, once we don't have, how many pro drivers do we actually have that are able to have those lap times versus everybody else in pro am? For right now, I say maybe keep it like we have, just no split, but that's something that we have to monitor as the progression moves forward, to where once you start having those a lot more faster drivers where you're able to have a complete full pro grid, then you start moving forward and having that put in place.
I agree, and it could be new drivers coming in, or just people improving.
Isn't there a
Literally,
point system that's actually evaluating your racecraft or something like that?
Yeah, within SimGrid there is a thing that links it to your LFM ratings and your general ratings within the game. So there is a rating number in there that we could find. But like Eric's saying, it's having the numbers on the grid which is going to make all this work. If we're hitting sort of 20, 25 a week, I don't think that's enough to start thinking about splits. If we're hitting 35 and 40, definitely we can look at splits. But I think it's something we should possibly look at if we're getting into the new season and we're having 30 regularly turning up. Well, halfway through the season, it's not that difficult to introduce, an A and a B band, so to speak. The pro and the pro am.
And potentially you could look at the previous championship. If you have drivers doing, let's say, pick two tracks, see what laps they do, and just judge them on that. And the new ones,
yeah, well, that's
I don't know. Look at SimGrid or something.
As long as our retention holds, we're going to have a good, probably 12 to 15 who are going to roll from season 1 into season 2. So that's 15 people that we haven't got to research because we know how fast each other are as the main group. It would then just be the research on the new guys coming in. As and when they sign up, we could try and do some sort of research on them, and if they sign,
or just literally put them into pro-am as a default.
Yeah.
And then after the first race, when they go, let's say, compete with the top 3, you go, okay, you're in pro, and change them.
Cool. All right, let's put that to bed then. We'll put that on the
to be
back
confirmed.
burner.
I genuinely think it's gonna work, but we need more drivers every week.
No, that's fine. We'll put it on the back burner with the licensing as a to be announced sort of drawing board alpha stage.
Yeah.
The next one,
a quick little idea is race 1. Nobody's in a class. The results
Could be
of
as
race
well.
1 make the classification of what group they're in.
Yeah.
You got a good solid data set there because even if you crash out or something, you still
I
got to
wouldn't do it as a result. I would do it on a lap time from that race.
Well, you
Definitely.
use qualifying and race as the
Yeah.
two assessment
Yeah.
criteria.
Yeah.
So you got lap time in qualifying, and then you've got racecraft as the other clarification to how they get on.
It also gives a bigger time window to look at this because, I think myself and certainly Eric aren't so keen on having splits
Because
until we know numbers. That's the main thing, is numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another split issue with splits as well. If someone is doing really well in Pro-Am, do you keep them in Pro-Am or do you push them into Pro? That's another.
Yeah, what the cut-off point is. Again, that's another moving
Yeah.
target that we need to look at. I think we definitely need more
Because
research on this.
then you're literally putting someone from the top to a bottom of potentially of
That's why a couple of weeks ago I suggested that point scoring system where the winner of the Pro-Am category can't score more points than the person who finished the bottom of the Pro category.
Well, that's I was going to mention all that, but we'll keep that for the back burner anyway.
Yeah, to be confirmed. More research. Excuse me.
So then the next one that Matt wants to bring up, I've got some points on it, is qualifying. So over to you, Matt.
Right. So if we do go down the road of 2 splits, then you only have the drivers of the same split out on track at any one given time. So say it's a 20-minute session, you have 10 minutes for the Pro-Ams, 10 minutes for the Pros.
Okay.
Yeah.
That way they're competing against each other rather than having people that are 3 seconds a lap faster coming up behind them.
Yeah, I've got no beef with that. My only thing would be we'd need to extend qualifying because, from my point of view, my qualifying session is go out on the first, get your tyre pressures, go back in, new set of tyres, out you go for your main run, secondary, which usually takes me about 12 to 15 minutes.
Well, there was an issue that got brought up last week. I can't remember who was in front of me, but the gap got really close, so I left like a couple of seconds gap. Chico came up behind me a bit quick, and then Nick nearly took him out.
Yeah.
Simply because I was trying to create a gap, because it's pointless me sat on the bumper of the car in front, killing the quali time, because like you said, you've only got 15 minutes of quali time. So I think I went through a little bit with Todd today and just bounced some ideas about, and maybe, for instance, if we get 30 people on the grid for tomorrow, for instance, whatever order you join the server, and the first 15 people will have the first 10 minutes of quali.
Yeah. See, the issue with that is also I was watching the LFM Pro race on Thursday, and George Boothby was queuing up, and he got absolutely pummeled from behind, and his steering wheel snapped his finger.
Fucking hell.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also a safety issue. I mean, a lot of us have got wheels that have quite a bit of power in them.
Oh yes.
So you don't want that happening as well as fucking your quality up. But it's also a bit of a safety risk.
So I'll put that out then. What do we think about position that you join the server in as a position that you go out in?
How would you enforce it though?
Well, because we can do it. I mean,
when do the timers start? At what point is the swap over? We need some details on it because it's a little bit vague in my eyes. But I know where you're coming from, and I agree with it for sure.
I would think that that's a bit overcomplicating things. I mean, I like the idea of having a, a bit less chaotic sessions. Suzuka for me was such type. The position you are referring for, Ash, was the moment you were slowing down, which was on the main straight right before the start finish line.
Yeah.
Where everyone else was on a throttle going out of the chicane. So that was for me the only put it in marks safety hazard. Apart from that, I guess we managed to reduce the pileup as good as possible on that risky track. But I wouldn't overcomplicate things for you as admins and for the people who are joining.
Yeah.
Well, the other way we can look at it is we could steward the qualifying session at the end of
Well,
the race as well.
I've got another option here. We utilize a light flash. So, for instance, if a slower car sees a faster car coming that's on an outlap, if he flashes the lights, the car then I'm not saying dives out of his way, but yields as good as he can.
To be fair, it's up to the faster driver to make enough space for their lap.
It is.
Yeah.
People shouldn't have to get out of the way. You're on qualifying
Agreed.
if you're on a lap, you're on a lap.
I think we
I'm
would
just
have
trying to
be
think of
very
a solution
clear
how we
about.
can.
I've had many issues this season where I haven't left enough space in front of me, and it's cost me a lap, and it's like my own fault.
I thought that Kyalami and Suzuka were awful qualifying, to be honest.
In my eyes, I personally think the slower person, it's more important for them to set their lap time than it is for a faster person to set their lap.
I agree. And the thing is, I think it's not really an issue to basically talk about this with people that join all the time, but with nuance, it's a bit of a problem because we could clearly say if someone is queuing at the end of the lap, you're not overtaking them. But you've seen what's been happening at Kyalami. I mean, I was sitting in a queue, 2 cars, and then the guy from behind just drives past us. I was like, come on.
The simple thing to that is make the rule like LFM. You're not allowed to overtake on the outlap of qualifying.
Yeah.
The only way you can is if a person actually says
Yields.
you can overtake. Yeah, yield.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that then. All in agreement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like Paul said, a slower driver should not have to move out of the way of a faster driver. It's up to the faster driver to make the space.
The faster driver should have the race sense to know that he's going to catch that car within his flying lap.
Yep.
Right, the next one. I'm sort of stealing Byler's thunder here. Let me just find what he sent me through.
Is it patching?
Yes. So
can we talk about tracks first for the next season? Or do we have that after?
I suppose we can add that to this. So track-wise, I would prefer, ideally, not to go over the same tracks we've had on Series 1.
Yeah, so I think it's quite simple. We have Valencia, which is a brand new track, so it should be in. Bathurst is very difficult. It could be.
What I was going to say about Bathurst is in between Series 1 and 2, I think rather than just jumping feet first straight into Series 2, we have a grace period while we've got the bank holidays coming up. And
the Bathurst race?
Yeah, I was going to say we'll do a 2-hour Bathurst endurance.
Yeah, cool.
That'll cause problems. I guarantee that'll be an event that doesn't happen.
Because of the number of people?
Completely honest, I like endurance and I like racing, but to force it on a track that is not that popular by the majority of people.
It's not that it's not that popular, it's the most difficult track on the game. And it's one of those that if you make a mistake, you're in the shit.
I mean, there are people who are mastering the track and they are very good, but watching our league where we have like extended like to 6, 7, 8 people who have a very great racecraft. The majority of us will go through hell, and I include myself into them.
Well, okay.
I think you keep Bathurst as a special event sort of thing once the league's got a lot of momentum behind it.
What about
so
then?
What about Valencia as a new track?
But yeah,
we're gonna have that in the series anyway. So what about Nürburgring for the 2-hour endurance then? We all practiced on Nürburgring. Some of us didn't get to finish it, obviously, for various reasons. It's not going to be in Series 2 because we've already had it in Series 1. So what about doing that for the 2-hour?
Single driver 2 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
Nick?
Yeah, fine. For me, it would be a boring thing because I already raced the longest in there, but many others didn't. So I can see that.
To be honest, I did actually enjoy the endurance, even though it didn't
At the end of the day, it'll be a race that
go
doesn't
great.
mean anything, but it's just to get the community together and keep the momentum ready for
Well, I'm
season.
trying. I'm trying to get a bit of a flavour to see who wants to do endurances, because if we can get
Yes.
2-hour endurances filled, then we'll start looking at hosting the sort of bigger, longer races. Because we've talked about it with Wiz, and we've looked at setting a zone up with a charity ourselves for the longer sort of 6 hours multi drivers. But it's pointless putting a load of time and effort in if we've not got the appetite to do it as a group.
Yeah, the biggest.
Because
The
it's a
biggest.
lot.
What do you like? Obviously, we're doing one race a week, but for example, I said on that same 3-4 days a week, and there is not much happening after other than LFM, obviously.
Yeah.
What about as like whoever from our group wants to join and do midweek championship, like there was this Wiz one now, etc.
Yeah.
from SimGrid, just to sort of compete with another group in a way.
Yeah, and we
But
get we
just have a decent race during the week as well, if
Yeah,
someone's got
if we
nothing
have
to do.
like an away team of drivers, people like
Yeah.
I want to do more endurance events. I enjoy doing our championship, and I'll do that week in week out every week I can. But I also want to do more of the longer endurance and some of the higher profile stuff, perhaps.
Yeah, because at the moment, like we jump in, we sort of set the server. Like even this week, it's just set to spa practice, and everyone just jumps in, and you just drive the same track 7 days a week, basically. Whereas I think it would be a bit more interesting for some that if there was another race or some
Well,
kind of special
I
event.
enjoyed it when we were practicing for that endurance, and we had our own league running alongside it. So you've got two tracks that you've got to
Yeah.
try and. So when we inevitably get fed up with the one track because you've hit the same corner too many times, you go, okay, well I'll go and practice on this other one. You don't necessarily have to
Yeah.
just get pissed off and switch the lot off and leave it for a few days, because it happens to us all where we just go, fuck it, I'm not getting any
Yeah.
faster, leave me alone.
I mean, I'm all in for both. What I want to bring up is the point that Eric, was you? I think it was you or Paul even. The when I joined, there were lots of like fun races, like 20
Yeah.
minutes, hop on, hop off. Those kind of evenings I miss, to be honest. If
Well,
there would be a possibility
yeah.
to split, like having some days where it's like to practice, or like a server that's only there for practice, and then have like a fun
Bear with
evening
that.
one.
Yeah,
Keep that thought.
Yeah.
that'll
Keep that
link
thought.
into the Patreon chat. Yeah.
Because you think these preparations for the endurance as well, you've got the practice for the weekend, which is against each other, and then you've got the practice for the endurance, which is working together. So you've got that two different aspects there as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But we
So
did that for Nürburgring because we had the endurance race on Saturday and then the championship race on Sunday, and we put was it Nürburgring as well? I can't remember actually.
I think so, possibly.
Or maybe I don't know, I can't remember.
Let me just see if I can find what Byler sent me through.
Yeah, but I agree, Nicholas, that I do miss those races, just fun races. Like
Yeah.
even a couple of weeks ago, we had at Bathurst, and it was just fun, basically.
Well, originally we said that we would only put this server on practice on a Friday.
It also brings back the
and maybe we
possibility
should
of
just change
destroying.
that as well.
It brings back the possibility of destroying Eric's SA down to a point where he can't enter the race on a Sunday.
Right. The next point is Patreon. So there's been a few people that have approached me separately and wanted to put some money towards server running and other bits and pieces. So the way that we're going to do it is via a Patreon. So we're going to do a free tier Patreon system. Prices, I think, have not been set as of yet, but they're
No,
not
not yet.
excessive. They're not. I think the lowest tier is probably around the same as a cup of coffee at Brands Hatch in Donington.
I think
Um,
that's the most expensive
me.
one, mate.
yeah. Yeah, looking at around a pound or £2
I
for the
think we're
bottom
talking
tier.
about the bottle of water.
yeah,
Yeah.
a couple of quid for the lowest, and then we're looking at sort of £5 mid tier, and then sort of like about 8-10 quid for the top tier. Like I said, prices are to be confirmed at this minute. Why are we bringing it in? Good question. I know that's what everybody's thinking. We've started seeing a lot of, I'm going to call them drop shipping people that just appear out of nowhere, say, "Can we have your setups?" and then don't offer anything to the contribution of the
yeah.
group, and then just disappear into the ether, never to be seen again. So we're not looking at selling other people's setups. That's not what we're going to do. But like the setups that we create and we spend time doing,
And also the
we'll
ones that we
probably
buy as well, the Hymos, the Goes, the Coach Daves that we
Oh,
buy for ourselves. You know,
Go setups have just now set subscription as well for $9.99 a month
yeah.
yeah.
with
So
30 downloads.
You know, and there's things like that. I mean, I've got a Coach Dave that I've shared out a lot to a lot of people, and I don't
I've
mind
got
I
the
doing
do
ghost.
as
it.
well.
I
I
don't
had the
mind doing
ghost
it.
set up.
Yeah, I don't mind doing it, but there's a lot of people that have come and gone, oh, can I have the setup? And then, as Ash says, that they make no contribution to the group. They don't help anyone else tune a setup, or oh, have you tried? You know, they just want to take from the group. I mean, you know, and don't get me wrong, the people who can't afford it, there may be someone who can't afford it. I appreciate that. You know, if they're regular,
Commonly known as gold diggers.
if they're regular people who generally can't afford it, we understand. You know, some you know, for argument's sake, if Tex couldn't afford a couple of bucks for a couple of months, we're not going to stop helping him out. It's just
yeah,
that there'll be a group where you can go in there, request a setup. One of the admins or someone else in there will give you that setup. You know, it doesn't matter
we're
who you
not
are.
trying to
If you're
we're
a
not trying to
Patreon
pay a
member,
wall or make it
yeah,
pay to win on a
absolutely,
server or anything.
yeah.
It's not what we're trying to do.
That's the
We,
one.
we
That's the one thing that I want to be clear that it's not. We're not trying to make money from the group. We're trying to
yeah.
improve the group, and if we can, as a group, pay for a batch of Hymo, Go, Coach Dave setups, and we'll share them quite happily within that group because everyone in that group has contributed to paying for those setups.
Yeah.
And the way that we're looking at doing it as well is basically making it a self-sufficient. So the lowest tier, again, these are to be confirmed, but the rough alpha write up is that the lowest tier will allow you into sort of the setup side of it.
Yep.
The mid tier will give you sort of the in-game stewarding. So that'll allow you to, when we're not there, look at doing, restarting the server, for instance, if it's set to race.
Kicking troublemakers.
Yeah, kicking troublemaker. It just allows a better running of it. And then sort of the higher tier, as I call it, race control, we'll probably be looking at maybe seeing about, if we can get enough, that is, getting a second server and looking at giving the control out that allows sort of pre-made presets to be used and utilized. As part of it, the good bits and pieces that we've already got in the pipeline, I've sort of spoken to a few people about getting shirts made. So we're looking at getting some CVR shirts. There is no design for that at the minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a blank canvas out for shirts, and what I've said is whoever comes up with the best design that gets the most likes, will buy the shirt for them for free, and that design will then be used. So I think it's a decent incentive for people to get some crayons out.
Can you put a couple of side notes to them?
As in,
So I'm going to be doing these track guides.
yeah.
Also,
Well, that's what I've. Don't worry, I've not got to that bit yet.
Also, another one of those things could be private one-on-one coaching sessions.
That's yeah. So the
Are we
tiers
still
need to be.
at Patreons, or are
Yeah,
we over
no, we're
that?
still on. No, we're still on Patreon. So we've still got. I've still got a few other bits for that. But if you need to interject, Nick, feel free.
Just a quick. I mean, I would be happy to contribute because I love the professionalism, the time, the effort every one of you guys put in, but I don't see the point that you're giving control just for people in a higher Patreon tier. I mean, control of servers or anything isn't a strive for me. Really, for me, it will
I
be
agree with that.
Yeah,
support
I kind of
your
agree with
work,
that.
to
I
support
don't
what you
think
do.
you should be allowing random members control of the servers.
Yeah, because you could have someone come in that's only been here for just joined today, and then all of a sudden they joined the highest tier. Now they have control.
Yeah.
And then they could abuse that,
Yeah.
and it could cause a friction that you've already put work into that could start to crumble. So I kind of agree with Nick on that one. I don't think that one would be.
So these are
Okay.
just rough. I've only got rough. Like I said, these need finalising, and
This is
I'm happy to.
exactly why we're holding the meeting.
I think
isn't it?
that if
Yeah.
with the Patreon thing, I think with the lowest tier introduces you into the setups and stuff. That's definitely good. I think with the higher tiers, maybe do like that coaching thing to where if you get into the higher tier, that gives you an opportunity to do the one-on-one coaching or setting aside for information, stuff like that. But I think the control and admin side of it should probably be out of it.
See, the whole point of the coaching one-on-one thing is because when you're in a general group chat and you've got, say, 10 of us, it's difficult to explain things and show people things directly towards them when there's all sorts of different discussions going on. It's a bit of it leads the concentration away. Whereas if you've got a specific like time slot, an hour on a Wednesday or whatever, that someone's got that tier of Patreon for, and they've requested for a little bit of advice and whatever, it's better, easier for them to concentrate, and you can explain things better to them. And I want to help all the guys that are new, that are struggling with pace, struggling with certain aspects and stuff like that. And it doesn't even have to be me that does it. It can be any one of us. But it's just that one-on-one that really helps them because they're just concentrating on their driving and your information.
I agree.
Okay, well, what about then a two-tier system, and then I'll put it forward to Tex and Nick. If we were to offer that, then hypothetically, this is just purely a draft. Would a two-tier system make more sense than having a three-tier system, for instance? If you said that we'll keep the admin controls to us because that's working into it, maybe look at a couple of more in-game stewards for when we're not here, but they'll be hand-picked, I think.
Yeah, guys
Given what
like
you've said.
Yeah, guys like Tex and Nick who have turned up week in week out and proved they're
Exactly,
trustworthy,
yeah.
so to speak. If they,
Yeah.
if they're even in at the bottom level of Patreon, if we're not on and we do have that second server, they can go in, set a different race, something like that, for the
Well,
trustworthy hand-picked ones.
Yeah, you just look at the people that have turned up for the stewarding sessions to watch it. They're the consistent. I can't say trustworthy because you can't say that you don't trust the other guys, but they're the ones that are there.
So, how much, Tex, Nick, would you realistically say for the tiers if you were interested in purchasing it? Well, just hypothetically, what would you say is a realistic limit?
For me, I've another currency here, but for me to go with like I'm all in on you guys, and a tenner a month for me would be achievable. And
Like a top tier, yeah?
Yeah, that is what I would happily do. And as I said, for me, it's contribution to your work, to the time I personally think is worth investing in. And for me, there's no reason to have any additional rights because I don't like the valuation on money part of people. Like that you evaluate a person who can spend more or less than other persons who can't. That part is not. I mean, if there's like give people a glitter thing on Discord or something like that, highlight their names differently. Okay, such sort of things is very okay. But it should not end up in a situation where we are in a server talking in general voice chat and someone who isn't paying is asking a question and just not getting an answer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
someone
It's
who's
it's
saying yes.
never going to be like that. No,
Yeah.
it is purely. We're not trying to paywall anyone. It is. We've just seen a larger intake of people just saying, "Can you get us this set up? Can you get us this set
yeah.
up?"
I mean,
And then
if people are in the voice chat with us and they're racing of an evening, they go, "Oh, I'm really struggling with understeer here." We're not going to go, "Oh yeah, please refer to the Patreon, then we're going to help." You know,
It's to
if
stop
they're in the
people doing hit and runs.
yeah, if they're in
Yeah.
the voice chat and they're actually part of the community, then great. If they're part of the community, they can have all the help they want. You know, if they're in the voice chats and they're going, "Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I'm getting understeer here, help me out." Of course, we're
look
going
who
to do that.
decided to fucking show up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think that everything that's been said so far is, and I agree with Nick too. You know, you definitely don't want the people to come forward. It's like, oh, you know, I need help with something. Well, you know, obviously you didn't put in on Patreon, so I can't help you. So obviously that's
Yeah.
not going to be the case. But
There'll still be a help channel for general help setup discussions. It's not a complete
yeah.
paywall. It's just.
But I do agree with the setups and the coaching aspect of it,
Yeah.
just because of the fact that you're spending your money to get these setups, and you are offering them to people, and to have people come in and take it and then just leave. You know,
Exactly.
that's not cool in any manner, because that person didn't have to give you that, and they offered it to you to help you, and then you just cut and run.
Yeah, the difference between what the plan is it's little bits of information like certain setup changes here and there. That's not a fucking thing. Like these have said, it's just when you're paying for setups and people are just coming in and then fucking off and you never see them again. It's
giving them
you're
a
a
complete
cheeky
setup where they've
bastard.
got nothing. Yeah, they've got nothing setup wise, and we're giving them a whole setup.
Exactly.
You know, if you've got a setup or whatever, and you want a bit of tuning with it, fine. And you're not a Patreon member, fine. We'll still help you out.
Yeah.
So the plan is we'll do a 2-tier then. We'll put that out, but I think probably £8-10 is decent.
Top tier. Yeah, top tier.
And then we'll look at maybe, I don't know, £4 or £5,
I
maybe
think
less.
I think keep it as low as possible, because I don't want to alienate people who may not be able to afford a couple of quid. Because let's be honest, there are people like that, you know. So
I would keep it at £3-4, not more.
I want to be
I'm still grounded from my debit card, so I gotta wait a little while.
So, okay then, what about...
We'll take PayPal, don't worry, Tex.
I don't even have access to my card right now because I spent over $700 on iRacing, so I'm in trouble.
Oh dear.
Well, that's because I don't get offended, but that's because you are a soft twat.
Because my wife's bigger than me.
Okay, so what about...
Why does it sound like he's in the church?
I don't know. Something like 3, 4, and then 8. So we could either do 3 and 4 for the lowest, and then 8 for the highest.
I think the lower the better, 2 or 3 even. Yeah, but we can talk about that as an admin team and then release prizes, and we can have another meeting over just that if needs be. But yeah,
because what we could think about from this, so obviously running server, maybe additional server, practice server, race server, etc. But
you're
also you could think about.
You're going to take my next point.
No, as in from if there is money left from that, basically, you could get something for the championship winner as well from that.
Absolutely.
So as in not money, but just buy something for them, or a voucher or something like that. Like Amazon voucher, it's so easy to do, to email it to someone.
I think the thing to be clear with this Patreon going forward is that we're not here to make a profit out of it. It all gets plowed back into Cerberus.
It would all go back into the community. Yeah, exactly.
I made that point right at the start. As soon as we mentioned Patreon, people's ears prick up. Oh, they're begging. No, it's not for that at all. You know, I think you missed it actually, Byler, but I made that point.
Yeah, sorry for my late arrival.
Absolutely, mate. No, I mean, absolutely get the
doing
point
a
out
mash.
There, but it's not. We're not here to try and make any money out of this like some of the other servers that we've dealt with.
Just make it better for everyone that's on the server.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All it is to stop those fucking busy bees out there joining, grabbing, and fuck off.
Yeah.
So I mean,
100%.
The good point about it is for instance the top tier. If we did it at £8, and you know we're getting what have we got now? We've got 145 people. If we got, say, 100 people put in, we could then put out some really good prizes for the racing.
Yeah, you could have one-off events.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have like a Patreon Cup or something like that, and it's
Yeah.
or a sprint series or something like that, and then just for those that are paid up members, and then there is a prize at the end of it.
Yeah. I think that's fair, because that way then we're not paywalling people, but the people that have put in, it's fair to them. It's fair to them if that's a good point. Right, I'll add that to the list.
And it can also help too with when we're having liveries made and stuff like that too. Kind of push something a little bit forward to those who put that work in.
That's
I think that's something we're looking at.
It's something that I want to bring up.
Hang on. Nick, go
on. Yeah, that's what I was saying I could contribute to. My wife is very keen to help out on that, putting time aside and
I'd forgotten about that. Yeah,
do that stuff, but she needs help getting along.
I'll send you the links I've got, which will give you the 3D models and whatnot. So, merchandise-wise, I say merchandise. Merchandise is a poor word because that makes it sound like we're a business, which we're not. Shirts and hoodies. Is that something that people are going to be interested in? Because ideally, we need more than 10 people to put in to bring the cost down. We're looking at sort of 25 quid a shirt for polyester.
I mean,
they look like really good quality.
I would definitely be in for the shirt. Probably not the hoodie, but the shirt I would.
Yeah, with names and numbers on and stuff.
Yeah, t-shirts definitely. Yeah,
I would like both, but as I've seen from some good organized people, I don't know if there's a market for it in our league. Having like racing socks or gloves or something like that.
Well, there's something.
Gloves, I think, are a bit expensive.
It's something I've looked into, and the gloves. Yeah, I mean, you can get cheap Alibaba ones, and I've looked at getting my company logos and stuff put on, but it's just that. It's cost wise. I think a good pair of racing socks or gloves, you're looking at £40-50 plus. Then the league customization.
What about hats? Hats are cheap enough.
Yeah, beanie hats.
Yeah, I mean,
something like that.
I was quite, because if there's going to be a few of us that keep meeting up and doing like GT World and 24 Hours of Spa and stuff like that, I think not that we're going to look like a set of wombles walking around, but it'd be pretty cool if we turned up to sort of the racing events. We've got his names, we've got his numbers on, who we are. That's how we take ourselves to the sort of the next level, doesn't it?
Just make sure you get one that fits you, Ash.
Oh, you nicked me.
I wouldn't.
Kid sizes.
You see, even at Spa, I wouldn't mind wearing a hoodie with Cerberus Racing on it or something, like Instagram account or something.
Mate, if you're wearing a hoodie in Spa in June, mate, something's gone drastically wrong.
But I don't give a shit.
It's Belgium, so
it's a matter of loud and proud, mate. There's fuck all to be ashamed of.
So what I'll do then is we'll put that out. Like I said, I'll stick true to my word. The most likes for the picture, it's got to contain the sponsors. So we've got to have Paul's sponsor on there. We've got to have Simulation Station.
I'm not interested now.
And
I just wanted at Cerberus Virtual Racing, mate.
And the logo, I think, would be pretty cool as well. And then
I'd pay extra to have name and number on.
Yeah, name and number on the back.
I would like, my number.
You should have that as
my number, by the way.
You should have that as like an optional extra.
So that's point covered. So shirts,
can I propose something?
Running a service stewards for training.
Well, it depends whether you're capable.
We've done the endurance event.
I'm more than capable.
Well, basically, what it is these track guides. I will need someone with basically expertise on how to fucking create the videos to the standard.
We've got that sorted, mate.
I can walk you through that. Either do it for you or walk you through it. It's easy enough.
Right, the last point then is not really aimed at the admins. It'll just be for Tex. Well, I suppose we can chip in, but it's more for Tex and Nick, seeing as you two have turned up. I've got like 5 bullet points here. What's worked well with Series 1? I mean,
Eric crashing.
me having 3 races with 0 points, that's what's wrong.
This
Right.
I think for me, and this may be only me, and it's just a pet peeve of mine, but I think the biggest factor out of everything I have, season 1 was great, even though I did take an absence for a little while. But I think I know, I'm sorry. I think the biggest thing for me is the time frame, and what I mean by that is if the race starts at 2:00, it can't be an hour later when the race actually starts. And I know people have issues and have equipment failure, stuff like that. That's completely understandable. But there has to be something put in place to where if you're not on and able to race, you're just not going to make it.
If you look at Pierre Gasly and Logan Sargent today, their cars weren't ready for the race. They couldn't race. It's technical issue. You know, it's one of those things. It's got to be that set time, that set date, end of story.
Servers locked.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think the last few races with everyone's been in championship for a while, there weren't that many issues. It's just when there is someone new joining an hour before, and that's why.
Well, that got stopped last week.
This week, exactly. So like this time you can't join on after Saturday evening or whatever it is. Which is better.
It helps us as an admin team as well to get the names.
Exactly.
24 hours before, people like Ash and whatever, they're not getting practice in because they're sat in private chats with people trying to work out hardware issues and stuff.
Yeah. So I think that Saturday deadline is probably going to cancel any of that out anyway.
Yeah, it's brought lesson from SimGrid, but to be fair, if it's going to stop people signing up on the day, racing once and then leaving and never coming back, is what it is, isn't it?
It's for the better of the series.
Yeah, and I think with the 20-minute free practice that we have now, we sort of, if someone is not able to join by the end of it, then the quality just goes on as it normally would. You're not going to wait for 20 people don't have to wait for one person basically.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, we'll take that on board then, Tex. So we'll keep. Are you happy to keep the 20-minute practice? Or is it? Yeah, it's 20 minutes, isn't it?
No, all that's fine. It's just like because I'm only able to operate in a certain window. If I, if I say, okay, I'm blocking off this excess amount of time, I can only work within that time. And if it goes, if I'm not able to start until 30, 45 minutes later due to whatever, I may end up finding myself having to back out of the race just because it started so late. That's my only issue.
No, that's fair enough. I'll take that. I think we'll keep it as the race setups are. Then, obviously, if we look at moving to an hour.
Sorry, guys. Just a question then. So, if we are doing that, then what about starting the free practice 20 to 8 and then quali at 8
for the new series?
For the new series. So basically, if someone wants to do free practice before the race, they come in 20 to 8. If someone just wants to jump into quali, they come at 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, for argument's sake, you could start it, open the server at 7, an hour long practice, whatever, and then at 8 o'clock.
Or exactly that.
At 8 o'clock
on the dot. Down to the individual to join.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm up for that. I like that. Yeah, a longer practice session beforehand. Yeah.
Okay. Series 2, we'll do that then. So hour practice
and fixed times.
Because that will also give you an hour for everyone who can join the practice only that's been signed up to championship. So any issues for joining will come up in that time probably.
So I think you've covered my other point. Have you got some sort of fucking vacuum for a mic or what, Byler? The next points that I was going to bring up was what worked well, what hasn't, and then what would people like to see. But I mean, is there anything else?
I think
Nick.
Yep.
Let these two go first, and then we can do the admin bits and pieces.
I think what I would like to see as far as progressing forward is when the race day, do like a little briefing before, to kind of go over, okay, just to remind people that even if it's new people or people that's been around, okay, this is what we saw last week. Cover 5. It doesn't need to be long, just 5 minutes, go over what we're expecting and move on. Just kind of something just to kind of go over a little bit before we actually get in and start really racing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
You mean
mind
go
that.
over the CVR Bible?
Tomorrow. Yeah, especially tomorrow. Don't send it for a rouge.
Almost like a driver's meet before the actual
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, that's a point I would like to contribute to. In addition to that, I think like new people, as experienced as they may be, should get a sense of how we declare our own racing etiquette.
Sorry, can you are you able to set on Discord so that they have to read some rules and accept them?
I can, yeah, and I can also say on the server side. So it'll probably take a little bit of working out, but I'll be able to set it up so they'll have to, like you do when you sign up to a new game and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That they've got to accept. Yeah. They'll have to accept the rules, and then if they've got no excuse for straying away from it. Then.
Yeah, and another point is more like not what I felt, because I felt great with you guys, and that's why I try to turn up to every race and every event we have. But I feel like it's great sport when people of a championship are regularly participants, and that the grid is most likely like 90% of people that are there every week, and not as much new people. The people who left us actually during the part of the season 1, series 1 kind of thing, did they tell you what wasn't right?
No, this is. It's been a bit of a weird one, this, because we've sort of tried to think how we can attract more people, and the problem that you've got is SimGrid. I would say that you've got your 3 tiers on SimGrid. You've got your people that treat it like LFM, where they just dip in, dip out of different races. They're not that bothered about the series. They'll just do one race on their favourite track. Then you've got your people that race a few times, generally don't drop onto Discord. Maybe just do it solo, try and get a few points. If they cause any issues, they'll just pick a different series. And then you've got your third one, which we seem to have got a few people from SimGrid that have then come in, liked it, stayed. But they're like the exception. We seem to be getting a little bit of 1 and 2. But since we've stopped the lastminute.com SimGrid sign up, we've sort of got rid of more of the 1 and 2 series of people.
Ash, what might help, because the first season we didn't start SimGrid like registration before the championship. So I think it was after the first race when you set it up. So maybe now, if we give people a week or something like that to sign up, if we set it up early, that could potentially help getting people more involved.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're going to look at sort of firming up some dates over the next couple of days with everyone. Maybe tomorrow when everyone's on for Spa, we'll look at seeing what the preferences for Series 2 start date and this 2-hour endurance, and then I can start populating. Whether we do the spinning wheel bot that we've got on there to pick out 8 tracks, which is then fair, or whether we do it from the poll that I've put on. Because there's quite a few people have mentioned it, but again, there's quite a few tracks that have been renamed from Series 1. I just don't want to keep replicating the same tracks over and over again.
Yeah, could be.
How many other tracks? How many other tracks are there?
20, I think.
Surely there is 8, right? More than 8.
Oh yeah. There's 20.
Yeah,
20
20 tracks, I think, in total.
Yeah, so we have a choice of 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've still got good ones we haven't used, the likes of Imola, Bathurst, as much as
Or we
even for
haven't used
myself
in
credit.
Kota,
Yeah,
the
Indianapolis,
best track still not used.
Donington, Snetterton.
Yeah. Text should be all over these then. So yeah, have you? Go on, Nick. I know you've got another point you want to.
It was just that came through my mind because I was going through other Discords I'm in with the Patreon thing. I always try to think of benefits that are like pretty neat stuff for people who pay actually, but are not necessary in any kind of way. And there was like some Discord rights attached to it on another server, like create a voice channel for people who hang out in like 3 or 4 party things, meetups or anything.
Yeah.
It's just another idea, or like give
Yeah,
them a tag on the name or
the plan with the Patreon side of it, there's going to be again, it's not the paywall inside of it. It just keeps everything nice and neat and tidy on the Discord. There'll be a separate Patreon channel that the members of the Patreon will get access to, and that's on both tiers.
Oh, okay.
So it's well away from the other channels, so it's not causing any sort of conflicts or anything like that. I like the idea of the Patreon only race because I
do
think
like that as well.
Yeah.
If there's 20 people that have put into the Patreon, it's not fair on letting another 20 people then join it and win the prize that the Patreon people have put in. So yeah, I like that. I think that would be a really good thing. We can look at sorting out some medals and stuff because obviously I've got a couple of guys that sort all that.
For something like that,
Yeah, I mean,
I'd quite happily put a sponsorship package forward as well to have a big prize or something like that. I'd be happy to do that.
I'd quite happily be live commentator for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
so one of the things that I wanted to bring up when he just said that, it made me think of something. Going forward, as the league, gets bigger and steadily starting to progress, maybe actually starting to recruit people to do specific roles, such as the stewarding. Maybe even doing like a stream or something, because that can help get people that may be interested in the league to kind of get an idea of how we actually operate on track, to see how we do things, and to be able to make it a little bit more appetizing. Not that I don't enjoy y'all's commentary, but to make it a little bit more live, a little bit more real time.
I think we already do the sort of live stewarding, and it also goes up on you. Well, I think
I think what text means is like some of the other
as
ones
the race is on.
Yeah, where they've got a live streaming commentator. The only problem with that is we'd need to bring in a separate commentator because, speaking from my own selfish point of view, I don't want to miss a race just to talk shit over the top of watching everyone else.
No, that's the reason why I said people who because they're out there. I've got part of leagues where there's actually people that's all they do is they stream it and commentate. There's people that just steward because they just they're not good at the racing, or that's just what they like to do. Okay. That's something that could be looked into later on down the road to where it's able to. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that idea. To be honest, I like that.
That would be more for the bigger endurance events, I think.
Special events, rather than the weekend.
Yeah. We sat down last week and we've sort of now we're progressing in a good momentum. A couple of us have sort of come up with new roles. So Byler's now, he kept it secret for a while, but he's very good at spreadsheets. So he's the minute man. We yet to find anything for Paul, but it will happen.
He likes touching Willie.
He's the video man.
He's the Willie man.
So we have got a few roles, but yeah. There's a couple of things that Todd has raised, but I think we've covered them anyway. Ballast.
Hang on, we've got to be careful because he's only 17. What's raising? What's coming up? Anyway,
Steady.
Ballast.
Told you he liked willies.
Ballast. So I think we're all in favour of getting rid of ballast. I don't think it's working, is it?
No. I feel it's pointless.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
It hasn't made a blind bit of difference.
Well, if we're looking more towards splits, well, ballast is pointless anyway because you don't want to restrict anyone. Because that would be the other option is to then bring in the restrictors, which are a little.
I just don't feel it's worked. I mean, you've still had people in the same positions, so it's like
the problem that Todd raised is an effort of fairness that we've had people join that have been quick. I mean, there were that 9/11, weren't they, on Hungaroring that joined?
Yeah.
He wasn't running any ballast, and it just made it a bit unfair.
He could have won that race, and
I think we'll get rid of with ballast. So unless anyone's got any other points, that's my notepad out. I've gone through all the points. I think
he's run out
had
of
a good
crowns.
hour.
Right. He's run out of crowns and eaten the Spurs.
Who was it who brought up about was it Tex talked about the commentary and that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why this Patreon only race, I put myself forward to do the commentary for that.
What, and not race?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't want to win anything. I win a championship, yeah, fine, but I don't want to win any prizes. I'm not here for that.
I mean, to be honest,
I'd rather do something else.
I'm gonna join you commenting on it after first lap as well.
We're going bilingual now, look.
No, I was hoping that it'd be so that I could fucking commentate on you getting crashed into. That's I'm happy with that, mate.
Well, hang on. How many languages can we cover here? We've got German with Nick. We've got Hungarian with my wife. Polish with Eric.
I can do English and Welsh.
Yeah, we got Texan.
Can you do Spanish? By any chance, can you do Spanish?
You have no fucker racing.
No, I do not speak Spanish.
The good thing is with the prizes, obviously we've got one of our main sponsors with, who's got link with overclockers. So if we can potentially get a decent amount of people that's got an appetite for the Patreon, especially the Patreon only race, I can certainly look at seeing if we can get prizes in the form of sim racing gear and that type of thing. And that's not excluding you either, Tex. We'll sort some out.
Yeah.
You might want to get onto like GT Amiga and all that lot, see if you can get sponsors off them because they do shit for championships. And if
I've had a word with a friend of mine who works for Scan Computers, and he's trying to see what he can do. His only issue at the moment is the amount of followers and stuff we've got. So we'd have to sort of try and have a drive on Instagram and YouTube and stuff. But
again, that's where we don't profiteer from the Patreon side of things. We can then pay for a sponsored advert on Instagram and grow it that way. So again, this is to purely benefit Cerberus. So it's.
I think unless anyone's got any points, I think we can close it on that.
I would have just what you guys think of it, because that's what another F1 league I watched pretty regularly did. Is they have a live commentary of every league race, like one race a week, and they have.
So I did look into that, and the guys that want to do sort of live commentary, I mean, again, there's nothing stopping us if we've got money in the bank. I'm happy, to sort that out. But a lot of the guys, if they're not part of our group, are wanting paying, and they're anywhere from sort of £10, £12 an hour. So again, it's there, but that's sort of taking, call it £40 a month away from the Patreon only races and prizes. So it's doable if we've got
maybe it's something to look for in the future. When there's a bit of a Patreon nest egg, then we can do a live commentary series, maybe say a Patreon only sort of series or something like that. It feeds back into itself then.
Yeah, but what I actually wanted to say is that they have some sort of like podium pre-race, after race interviews that are then shared, like to get somewhat identification with the league, with the people you're racing with. They have some sort of interview that will then be published in any sort of way, like Twitch, Instagram, or stuff like that. Because let's face it, if we have a great race, we want people to know about, and we want to share it with our friends, and that could be a part of identification with the stuff we're doing. If people are fast and can achieve a podium or achieve any great things, if we get a split like pro and pro, that would help probably people stay.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, and I'm happy to do that. As a bolt on to the commentary for Spa, because obviously Spa's is going to be a little bit longer, simply because of how long the race is going to be. So I think we can sort that.
Can we do a preview video for season 2?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not asking it based on one person doing it. I'm asking as a team collective.
Yeah.
So basically, what it is, it's an introduction to Cerberus. So you guys know more about that than anyone. So that'll be like the description of how it started up and all that shit. Then a couple minutes basically going over season 1 with a couple of highlight clips and stuff like that, and then the intro to season 2 with like drivers' names and numbers scrolling up or something. Nothing major, but it's like a nice aesthetic, isn't it?
I mean, I've watched
from my point of view. I mean, if other people do little clips, it is so quick for me to be able to put it together into a little video. So for argument's sake, Eric does an introduction, Ash does the introduction to season 2, Matt, you do a wrap up of season 1. I can chuck it in. It'll patch it together really quick. It'd be quite an easy thing to do.
Cool.
So, any other points before we bring it to a close?
We've had this sort of meeting now. I know you want a monthly one, but what about like a 10-minute weekly one for the admins?
Yeah,
so
we could definitely admin meeting.
Everyone in the admins kept up to date and any like issues or anything.
Especially if we're running Patreon, then
exactly.
To talk about things, what you spend money on, and how much we've got, and everything. And I think for that we would have to have just a separate email address so that every one of us can access it as well and see what's happening.
Yeah, the other one be if we did a Patreon one, we could have the stage as we do at the end of race. We could have the admin meeting if anyone amongst the patrons wants to pitch up. We can have that planning meeting once a month, once a week, whatever the calendar allows.
And I think it's a good idea as well for these highlights that we do, is to at the end the Patreon's names go up.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm okay with
that. After it, so that they get a mention.
I'll include them at the start, middle, finish. They can scroll across the bottom of the screen the whole race, whatever people want to do. I can make that happen, no problem.
Cool.
Sound. Yeah. Right. Yep. Any other points?
No. So just to sum up, what we have to do first really is we have to put some kind of poll for what's going to happen next weekend, and then
that's going to be. I reckon if we do that tomorrow and the majority of people on,
they can make a vote.
Yeah, we can do that. We can voice it because if you put it to a poll, it just gets confusing. Whereas if we can ask them while they're all there, it'll be easier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, and also to set up the season 2 as soon as possible on SimGrid, so that it actually gives people more time to join for the whole season. Yeah, we will have to decide spin wheel the tracks or whatever.
Yeah, I'll get that sorted probably Monday.
Yeah, I will be home tomorrow and Monday, so
yeah,
we can go through it.
Cool. All right. We shall bring CVR's first ever meeting to a close then. Thank you for the attendance. To the people that have sent me a message that couldn't make it, thank you. For everyone else that's not replied, shame on you.
Shame on you.
Sorry, brutal. Emotional damage.
Keep an eye out for the highlights and commentary from last week's race and Spa tomorrow. So yeah, we'll see you soon.
Later.
Ciao.
Catch you later.
Bye.